Well, I think Operation Midnight Hammer was ultimately a tremendous success, and the U.S. successfully put a pause on Iran's nuclear development. That being said, there are other significant threats like missiles, drones, and other proxy attacks that Iran has used to work to disrupt the entire region. And so I think we're ultimately stepping into the next phase of this conflict. And while the messaging may be confusing for some, this has ultimately always been about eliminating Iran as a regional threat.
And Ryan, you're an open source intelligence analyst. What do you think is the next step? To Justin's point,
the states are going to start hitting IRGC targets, IRGC and Basiji. These are essentially the religious military of Iran that oppresses their people. The IRGC has also gone out in expeditionary missions and trained foreign terrorist organizations. And once we suppress them, the next step might certainly be to support Kurds coming in from the north, or various organizations like Jaish al-Adi that are coming in from the south in Pakistan to fight as rebels.
Now, Justin, I'm seeing reports this week that Russia may be providing Iran with intelligence information, helping them target U.S. troops. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth speaking to 60 Minutes saying he's aware of it. Take a listen.
We have the best intelligence in the world. We're aware of who's talking to who, why they're talking to him, how accurate that information might be, how we factor that into our battle plans.
Does this put U.S. personnel in any more danger than they otherwise would be?
Well,
the Russian involvement.
No one's putting us in danger. We're putting the other guys in danger.
So there you have Secretary of War Pete Hegseth saying this does not put our troops in danger. But Justin, does it worry you that Russia's getting involved in this?
Secretary Hegseth is right. None of this is surprising. It's definitely unfortunate that Russia is getting involved, but this is exactly the kind of response that the Pentagon anticipated once this conflict broke out. And I think ultimately, while it would be ideal if Russia did not assist Iran, of course, that is never ideal. At this point, it's definitely not surprising, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Ryan, Iran is not backing down. Iran's president saying today that the country will, quote, stand firm to the last breath in our defense of our country and resist a joint operation by the U.S. and Israel. And the president, of course, has said this conflict, it could last 4 weeks. He's not putting an exact timetable on this. But Iran not backing down. How long can they last realistically here, Ryan?
That is an excellent question. So every day it seems like their ballistic missile stockpiles go down. We're treating those and they're also firing them. Every day they are cut off essentially from getting new shipments of oil or being able to refine the oil they have. So there is a physical limit. Where that limit is very difficult to say without access to the kind of intelligence that I wouldn't be able to talk about on Newsmax. But you can think of it this way. If every day the missiles are going down by half, the ability of the leadership to control their population slips as well. Add the Kurds into that and rebel groups from Pakistan into that as well, and it could be over fairly quickly. Similar to what we saw in Syria in just a matter of days. All it needs is a little push.
So, Justin, the whole thing about arming the Kurds, I mean, we saw some of these minorities, these ethnic minorities during the Gulf War in Iraq. It didn't really work out very well. Do you have any worries that by using a minority population, we're really not setting the stage for Iran to step up or stand up on its own as a democracy? This might tear them apart.
I think history has shown that these sorts of things pose tremendous risk, especially as the situation in Iran continues to become more and more unstable with the success of the U.S. and Israeli military operations there. I think ultimately the regime change question is a decision for the Iranian people. And historically, when regimes lose their military power and economic leverage, political change often follows.
So let's talk a little more about this Iranian regime, at least that's still in place right now, right? So Iran's president says that they will stop bombing their neighbors if they don't attack them. We know that the attacks are not going to stop from Israel or the U.S. right now. And again, they vowed that they're going to continue fighting till the end. There is no surrender. That's coming from the current Iranian president as well. So again, how do you see this ending, Ryan? Do you see just complete obliteration of what's left of this country? I know that President Trump has said he wants the people in Iran, the 93 million that have been living under this regime, to rise up, to do what they can to retake their country.
Yeah, that's actually the ideal endgame is the people inside of Iran rise up and fight the regime. Now, one big problem with that is that very few people own firearms inside of Iran. Iran.
Good point.
It's mainly hunters and farmers, and they're very highly restricted, namely shotguns in that case. So there are some militias in the north and some militias in the south near Pakistan. Those are the Kurds and some Sunni Muslims down at the Pakistani border. However, what you could see is the Artesh, which is the Army of the People. This is the army that almost every Iranian is drafted into. People are also drafted into the IRGC, but the Artesh is much larger. And what you could see is the Artesh saying, you know what? We have the opportunity here to take back this country. There's a lot of draftees in the Artesh that don't like the idea that their sisters are beaten for wearing a hat the wrong way. So we could easily see after a couple of weeks, when the regime's power gets diminished even more, the Artesh steps up and takes back their country.
Great point.
All right. Ryan Macbeth, Justin Fulcher, thanks for joining us.